Hello, friends. Welcome back to the table where we do tarot. And it may not look like it, but I am cooking dinner right now. Everything is like set to do its thing. So I am trying to get out quick tarot reading. So I have like my stack up of tarot cards, and I just chose these two because they were at the top of the deck. And this is a new deck of cards, of oracle cards that I had been waiting for in the mail. So I got it. And I am, stay tuned at some point because I am going to go through all of them, maybe. But what I'm going to do for now is when we get to the end of this other reading, then I will just pull the top three cards and read the meanings from them. And maybe that's how I'll go through the whole deck. We shall see, because um, I always change my mind when things are happening. But this was like at the top. These were basically like the top two decks of the top two piles that I have, because I have a pile of tarot cards and a pile of oracle cards. So let's just get shuffling and see what's going on. All right. I always try to take out, there's always like an irrelevant card in a book. And so if they show up, the book is gone. But if the irrelevant cards sometimes show up, then I guess maybe there's meaning in that. Anyway, so let's see what's up. I never really ask questions. I just kind of let it be what it is. All right. And it felt like an uneven split. And at the split, we have the Fool and we have the Nine of Wands. Okay. So there's something of a new journey feeling like it's starting, but a fear of it happening. But there's a completion cycle going on so that the new journey can start. So you might not be there yet because you're sort of like, okay, because you're sort of denying it. Okay. And I don't know. Those, we'll see. All right, let's see what's at the bottom. All right, are these all going to be upside down? I don't like it when I'm shuffling upside down, not even in reversals, but just upside down. So we have the Ten of Cups, and that is complete emotional fulfillment for everybody around you. It's like a complete happy family. So what's going on here? We've got the Three of Wands or I'm sorry, the Three of Swords and the Seven of Swords. Okay. So what I would say is that there's been heartbreak and thievery going on in your reality, but 3 plus 7 adds up to be 10. And that is actually a 1 and a 0. So only the one is significant. So like I said, that we were with the Nine of Wands. That's the ending of an old cycle. And then the 10, this 10 that we have is really significant of a 0 and a 1. So it's like the Fool's journey and then the start of the new journey. Okay. What's going on with these? We have the Knave of Swords, the King of Chalices, which is cups, and then we have the Two of Cups. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you what this is. I know what this is. This has been coming up in every single one of my readings. There is somebody who has been called like immature. Okay. A previous partner is seeing them as a Knave of Swords, which is like a childish person of the swords, which the swords are about communication. Now, of course, we have a train going by, and that's consistent with that type of energy. Okay. But in actuality, he's the King of Cups, and he did not want to share his cup with the person who thinks of him like this. So he just like held on, knowing who he was right here behind this, right? So she's seeing him like this. He knows he's this. And he's like, okay, I'm just waiting for you to get out of the way, waiting for your image of me to get out of the way so that I can be seen as this, which is my true value, so that I can unite with somebody that I want to give my cup to because they have their own cup full. Okay. And it's sort of like it's a union between two people, but in this deck, it looks like an angel, so that came from the inner union of you and your spirit. And we have the Two of Pentacles, and it's three little things here, and the pentacles are on the ground. So it's like this in this reading, I almost feel like it's like the partnership that was going on where the two cups came together. It's like they also each brought their own pentacle from God and they set it down here. And then they started to play. Because normally the Two Pentacles is about juggling something to try to hold on to some sort of stability. But here it's like, oh, we're together. We have our stability. See how these align, like the cups and the pentacle right here and here. So there's time for play now. And this was like something that didn't seem like it liked what was going on. Now, what I see is the Fool again. I see the King of Swords and I see the Nine of Wands. Okay. So obviously, if they wanted to come up again, because we saw them on the cut. They're coming up in this one, and there's some sort of challenge within this. And again, it's because it's like somebody in the past was trying to put on this masculine energy and cut this person down. Where did they go? This fake masculine wanted to cut down this real masculine who knew what was going on the whole time because she was seeing him as this. And so, like, if she thinks that she's a king and she's looking at this, like, young person of the sword, it's like she's trying to use her words and her thoughts to think that she's smarter than this person. But really, nobody is smarter than children because they haven't been programmed yet. So even if she saw that this person was like that, it's like he was wise enough to not fight back against a king, whatever this perceived king was. Okay, thank you. Now, so the train just stopped. The train passed by, so now we should hear our audio clearer. But anyway, so but this false king caused all of this burden. This is like the card of the wounded warrior. Burden sounds a lot like bird in something, but we've got a peacock here, which is like a sign of beauty. And also, when they fan their tail feathers out, it looks like there's a bunch of eyes. So it has something to do with a lot of eyes on you. Okay, a lot of eyes on you going through this journey. Like people have been kind of like watching how this false show is all playing out, and they're just like looking forward to you stepping into your rightful place right here. And then you start out on the fool's journey. Now this fool looks terrible, like so scared of stuff, like something's going to fall on him. And I don't really like the way that this fool is portrayed as compared to other decks. But it's more like when you start out on a new journey, you're sort of in this state of like self-protection of like, oh my gosh, where is the next like sword coming from, right? So that's kind of what it looks like here is like, all right, I eliminated you, but it's like, where are your words? Because really swords are the communication. And so it's like, um, people who want to use negative words against you, whether they're talking about you or whether they're thinking about you, it does create an energetic signature, okay, that shows up in your life somehow, whether or not that person is directly involved in your life. So that's kind of what it is. It's like they're waiting for the next shoe to drop or whatever because they're so used to it. They're so used to it, hearing about like what that person said about them and all this other stuff. Because even though that person is not there to directly do anything about what they're saying or like cause direct pain, it's like hearing about that person through other people still causes some sort of like emotional trigger. But don't worry, because the overarching theme of this thing is the 10 of cups, and that is happiness because of like this nine of swords. Is this one is so different. She looks so pleased, and I think it's because nine of swords normally means being kept awake by your thoughts at night, being stuck in this like space of where you're trying to think your way out of something, but you cannot do it that way. But because you're not taking enough action in alignment, then your energy is all stuck up in your thoughts. But it's almost like this person, this woman, she's just looking at the one like sword, the one idea of truth. Okay. And she's happy about that. All right. So let's move on to the other deck. And this is the gold foil tarot. All right. The other one was Botticelli, and that is from Los Scarabeo, and they are made in Italy. So I love that. Or if you don't know, I love that. I do love that because I'm Italian, and I think all best things are made in Italy. Even though, like, I wasn't, my bloodline was, and I think Italy. There's a movie called Everybody Wants to Be Italian. Have you ever seen it? It's like about two people who are not Italian, but they're surrounded by Italians. So the assumption is that each of them is Italian, but they're trying to set them up on a date. Okay, so they're trying to teach them how to be Italian. Um, It's just, I won't go into it more than that. Okay. I'm just saying, I don't think Italians really have enemies. They did, but they took care of that. All right, let's just go with this. And at the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Pentacles. And that's kind of what I was saying before was with in the other deck where there was the Two of Pentacles. It's almost like you are given you are given riches by God, okay? So you carry it with you forever, and you only really share it you might share plenty of things with plenty of people in this life, and then you feel like it's wasted, it's gone, and you feel broken for like having given things to people that they didn't deserve, really. But this is what happened is like you were carrying the or the Ace of Pentacles. Each person was carrying their Ace of Pentacles by God. And then they came together, set them down, and they're like, we're together now. We can play. Okay, my son just came out. So I'm like, can you hurry up and tell me what you want and then go away because I'm trying to get this done while dinner is cooking. So again, all right. So we have the Three of Swords and then the Two of Swords. All right. So it's like there was this heartbreak going on, but I say this over and over. Heartbreak is in the swords because it's more of a thought than an actual thing. And it's like okay, the reason why broken heart has lingered for so long is because you were blindfolded as to what choice you were supposed to make because you're like, do I go with what my heart says or do I go with like what my loyalty says? And I just keep investing in this person in this relationship, right? And then when it finally ends, then you're like, what the F? They took all of my stuff. And what's crossing this? The Page of Pentacles. Okay, so there's this little interim energy. Now I need to see what's under it because I want to see what's up with that. Again, it sort of just tells me it's almost like this. Um, it's like, oh my gosh, God, I love this pentacle. It's like when the person was young, they loved this pentacle and they thought it was so valuable, but really it was something about the value of themselves. And so when you know that you're valuable and then other people around you try to devalue you, it's because they're trying to hang on to you. This was what was next underneath the ace, right? Right underneath this was this. They are trying to hold on to you because they know what your value is and they don't want you to go out into the world and share it with somebody else. Like they can't they can't be at that level of your value, so they just hold on to you in a variety of different ways. And then you hold yourself in place too because you don't know where to go from there, right? Because there was like this indecision. So, okay. But underneath that, again, was the King of Wands, right? So it was Ace of Pentacles, and then it was the like this person trying to hold on to your Ace of Pentacles that you have right here, right? But they're like, I want all the things. And because they know that you're actually like a King of Wands, and if they can hold you down, then you can't do your creative mission to where you get honored with this, right? Where everybody gets to see it. And that's because there is uh, people are bound to the devil, right? This is the devil. It's also significant of Capricorn, because it's the card of Capricorn, because Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn is all about rules, following the rules. And that's what the devil card is about. Hang on. Okay. So the devil card can mean being bound to this false imprisonment where if you look closely at the card, these two people have chains around their neck, but there's enough room within the chain for them to get out of it. Okay. So that's the thing. It's like this false binding, but there's a spiritual message coming in and it's from the Queen of Wands. And then the Magician was under her. So I just keep going further down into the deck. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. There's so much. What happened is that the decision was made to finally let go of this old relationship stuff. Okay. So, but then you grapple with that. You mentally grapple with all the stuff that you feel like you lost, but really you never lost anything because this was yours, given by God, and nobody can take that from you, even though if it looks like they can. Okay. So, what is this? We've got the Ten of Cups. This, I don't make a big enough emphasis about it of like how ridiculous it is that my cards repeat through the different decks. I'll see it happen with other readers, but it's more of a rare occurrence. Whereas in my readings, it happens so often. I'm like, I don't know. I feel honored for that because I feel like the message is consistent in a way that you can see it too, whether you know anything about tarot reading or not. It's like you can see that we got the same cards, right? 78 cards in each deck. The probability of that is highly unlikely. And then, so Ten of Cups and then Temperance. And oh my goodness, I was reading the book of Revelation today from the Bible, and they were talking about this. I think it was an angel that has one foot on land and one foot in the water, and that's exactly what this is. And that's why I find it very comical that oftentimes like Christianity looks down on tarot readers because they think that they are of the devil, right? And it's like, no, the devil is the false binding into mental imprisonment of societal rules. Okay. So like almost all of the tarot cards, especially like the major arcana, are based on things that are in the book of Revelation. So it really gave me big inspiration on paintings that I want to do based on all the different angels and beasts and things like that, elders that were discussed. This one, yeah, here's another one, this star card. They talk a lot in Revelations about like stars on a crown, stars falling to the earth because the dragon like swiped his tail and all these different things. But there's the Knight of Wands and there's the star card. And that is like, okay, for all the holding back that has been done from all these other things that were going on, like all of this holding back of things, the King of Wands, right? It was like because he finally let go of the previous relationship that was not of his value. So the Knight of Wands is rushing in to give the king back his wand. Okay, see, he's like, here you go. Look, everything that you wanted as you wished on a star for. It's like, as soon as I get this wand to you, you're going to have it. It's like your magic wand, right? To create everything that you wished for. All right, so let me now gather up these cards and grab up an oracle card for Moonology, and we will see what's going on. And tonight is a full moon in Sagittarius. Um, this is June 11th when I am recording this. So whenever you see it is when you see it. I will usually post them to be released the next day, just so it gives the algorithm a chance to find its proper viewers. And that's been working really well because let's see what we had. Have faith in your dreams, waxing crescent moon. Okay, that's what this is. Have faith in this star, this as we wish upon a star. That's like what your dreams are. Um, Adjustments are required. Third quarter moon, and that's kind of where that indecision was going on. It's like you. There was the Four of Pentacles where the person was holding on. You can't make any movement like that. Okay, so you have to break some ties with the devil because it's an illusion of control. It's not even the real rules of like God and love for one another. And, so just let it go. All right. At the bottom, work through your fears, new moon in Scorpio. If you feel like it, look up what the full moon in Sagittarius means, because that should be like the energy that you're feeling right now. Once you get to know more about that, you'll understand that the moon, like the full moon, it does things to the body. Okay. It does things to the tides. It does things that we just don't know. We don't know the depth of. But also it kind of runs feelings through you that aren't really yours, but it's about a global lesson that we're supposed to be learning. Okay. So what do you need to release? The waning moon. And that is the time. It's almost like the full moon is like a pregnant belly, right? So what you need to release when you have a fully pregnant belly is that baby. Okay. You are good enough. Full moon in Virgo. So don't worry about what you need to release because that is what, well, you already know what you need to release. You might need to release somebody, or you might need to release this birth of something of your creative passion into the world. Okay. And you're enough because otherwise, if we didn't think that we weren't enough, then everybody would be creating what they're purposeful for, what they are in purpose for. Full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. Okay. Pride, this concept of arrogance, it really comes from the fact that we are questioning ourselves, right? It's like sometimes we don't like to give things up and let things go because we're stuck in our pride of the decision that we made. So pride sounds like a good thing, but really what it is, it's also a reaction to fear. When you like get stuck in your pride, step out of your comfort zone. Okay. So that is your north node. Your north node is when you're heading towards your purpose. It's not like a real point in the sky. There's a north node and a south node. And the node is what you're moving away from to get to your north node, which is your purpose. And what I would say that is your rising sign. So if you ever look into your birth chart, you would have to know where you were born and the time that you were born, because if you put those into the chart, then it tells you you always know what your sun sign is because that's what you're born under, and that's what's most obviously how people see you and what you feel in this world. But your rising sign is what your life's purpose is. So if you don't know where you were born or when you were born, the time, then you're not really going to know your rising sign, but you can get along just fine without knowing it. It just happens to be really helpful. Okay. So, oh, calendula. All right. So I'm such a nerd for nature. So when I saw this, it's the Herbal Astrology Oracle Guidebook. It says you are the medicine. And that's the truth. You can create medicine in your mind with your thoughts, okay? That's so, so important because we know that there's such a thing as a placebo effect. So if there's a placebo effect proven, and they talk about it all the time in the pharmaceutical industry, that's fucking magic. And they're just like not really acknowledging it for what it is. But calendula is an extremely healing herb and it is beautiful. So I am going to read it from the deck, from the card book. I mean, guidebook. All right. And hopefully they should just all go in order because um because they're just coming out of the box. Okay, so calendula. All right. Herbs of the sun. One, calendula, purity. Calendula officinalis. Okay, so that's its Latin name. Upright, innocence, childlike joy, humility, purity, new beginnings, trusting in life, vitality. Okay. And that goes along with all this stuff of saying, what do you need to let go? Move forward in your purpose, all this different stuff. Reversed, broken innocence, lack mindset, inability to access manifestation, resistance to new beginnings. And what I would say is that there are a lot of relationships that have been going through changes over the past year where people are splitting off. And it's because some of them are in the upright, like one partner is in the upright and the other one is in the reverse now, right now that like relationships have ended and we've moved on from them, you're really getting to see that when you don't have the effect of the other person around, you guys are diverging in very different directions. And that's exactly what it is. It's like the one person was brought back to the innocence of who they always have been inside and have tried to be, but the other person who was actually unhealthy was trying to say like, you don't know what's best for you and everything is your fault and blah 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 blah, and that is like not what was going on. Okay, so astrological ruler is the sun. Historically, calendula was known as poor man's saffron. It as it was used to add color and flavor to foods in place of the more expensive spice. Calendula petals are also added to salads and used as a dye for fabric and hair. From infusions to extracts to ointments, folk medicine healers in Europe prepared a wide array of healing remedies and foods with calendula. Its petals were used to induce menstrual flow, reduce sweating during fevers, and cure jaundice. Isn't that interesting? And that's how medicine shows itself in nature. Jaundice is a yellowing of the skin, but this flower is yellow. So that's how people would just kind of like do this trial and error of what worked, but they would use their sensibility, okay? Not just like go to their doctor and tell them what's going wrong. And then their doctor's like, well, I don't really know. We'll have to do some tests and then I'll tell you what I think. Okay. That is like what I'm talking about the imbalance of energies. Like we need to move away from that way of thinking. All right. 19th century physicians used calendula to treat viruses, stomach ulcers, liver issues, and skin infections, traditionally because of its astringent and anti-inflammatory powers. It was also used externally to treat burns, bruises, and wounds and to help stop bleeding. And it's still used for those things. Guidance. Calendula resembles the sun, a radiant, bright yellow or orange flower. It grows easily and spreads its joyful self across gardens, symbolizing the gesture of universal abundance. Solar herbs are those gesture of solar herbs are those that neutralize poison and air in their recuperation of vital forces. Calendula's gentle and abundant power remind us of the realms of light. To be allowed entry within these angelic realms requires childlike innocence and humility. Don't allow pain from the past to disable your ability to dream a new life. Calendula represents the pure impulse to create vitality and creativity needed to step into a new journey. The radiance of calendula is a superconductor. Be very aware and selective with your intentions when using her energy within a ritual, as she greatly amplifies your intentions. Okay. So always be at one with your heart when you're like thinking about things, because I think um, the general public would assume that people who look like witches are witches, and that's not really how things work. People who don't think that they're witches, but they're thinking negative things, they're texting negative things, they're gossiping, they're spelling, right? They're spelling out words and they're like thinking about words in their mind because communication has been turned into like format, right, of words and sentence structure and things like that. So when you are building those sentence structures, whether it's just thoughts in your mind or it's a real text that you're putting out to somebody, that is witch work. That is dark witch work. Okay, let's move forward to we'll just do the first three. Oh my gosh, these are all so amazing. Okay, so the second one is St. John's wort radiance. Okay, you guys probably have heard this for anti-depression, things like that. I actually did finally like get some and try it, and majestically, um it just calmed my mind. It put a smile on my face. But when you're working with natural herbs, it's not a stimulant like where you feel stimulated by this thing. Um, and I'm not talking about a stimulant like caffeine, like where something speeds things up. I'm talking about like where you actually feel it. Herbs, when you're taking them, you don't realize that you're just in a better mood. You're feeling better, your ailments are like lessening. Okay. St. John's wort, radiance. Hypericum perforatum. Okay. Upright. Joy, warmth, resilience, happiness, understanding, manifestation, spiritual power, protection. Reversed. Unhappiness, avoidance, running away, escape, not walking your truth. Astrological ruler. Sun. St. John's wort, like the sun card in the tarot, represents feelings of protection, optimism, fulfillment, prosperity, success, and the dawn that follows the darkest of nights. The sun is the source of all life on our planet, and it represents life energy itself. The Latin name Hypericum means to place above the altar, and perforatum means perforation, a reference to the holes in the plant's leaves, used since ancient times as a protective plant against witchcraft, demonic entities, or psychic energy. St. John's wort was often used in exorcism rituals when demons were eradicated from possessed spaces and people. St. John's wort is the epitome of a solar herb. It blossoms around the peak of midsummer day, embodying resilience, vitality, and longevity. Its power is such that it is believed to be effective in protecting a home against lightning, fires, and severe storms. One of the common customs was to burn the herb in the fireplace and let the pungent smoke permeate the space to ward off evil and enhance protection. The ancients believed this precious ally to be one of the greatest gifts to humanity due to the plethora of healing benefits it contains. For many centuries, St. John's wort has been used as a remedy against depression, anxiety, melancholy, viruses, wound healing, pain relief, spiritual protection, and more. Guidance. The midsummer goddess celebrates the multifaceted elements of life in a state of joyous abundance, reminding us that the wellspring of true wealth and healing is within. St. John's wort is here to remind you to cultivate practices deep within yourself to experience this enlightening truth. Avoidance and distraction from this great knowing are unconscious habits that build up and manifest as scarcity, fear, and low moods that inhibit you from walking your truth. St. John's wort grants us the spiritual courage of fire needed to navigate the death of the old self. I told you we are just reading these in order of which they are in the box, but holy moly, they seem quite relevant. Okay. And then we have Rosemary, and that's one of my favorites because it's one of my daughter's middle names. Because I had a grandmother named Mary, and her sister's name was Rosalie. And those were like my two favorite women in my family because they were just the most harsh and raw and funny, and they just had a real good sense of humor. So I wanted to give her, because she was my youngest daughter, I knew she was going to be my last. So I wanted to give her as much blending of like family names as I could. So Rosemary is her middle name. And it's just such an awesome herb. Okay, so three. Rosemary, ancient memory. Rosmarinus officinalis. Upright, remembrance, ancient memory, multidimensional sight, recollection, commitment, loyalty to a vision. Reversed, nostalgia, longing, disassociation due to trauma induced amnesia, resurfacing of past emotions, confusion. Astrological ruler is the sun and Mercury. Rosemary has been used medicinally dating back to the ancient Greeks and Romans in 500 BC. Dried sprigs of rosemary even showed up in the Egyptian tombs as early as 3000 BC. The ancients were well acquainted with this hardy shrub, which had a reputation for strengthening the mind and memory. It became the symbol for fidelity for new lovers during wedding ceremonies and used in religious rites and at funerals. During weddings, it was entwined in the wreath worn by the bride and dipped in the scented water to bless the union as a symbol of the sacred moment and eternal loyalty. Even today, rosemary is used to improve memory. Legend has it the Virgin Mary, mother of Jesus, as she fled from Egypt, sheltered next to a rosemary bush. That is Awesome, because I love Egypt. I've always felt connected to Egypt. Um, yeah, so this is and the Virgin Mary and Mary Magdalene, okay? All the Marys. So she threw her cape onto the bush, and the white flowers turned blue. Since then, this precious herb has been called the Rose of Mary. Oh, I didn't know. Guidance ruled by both Mercury, planet of the mind, and the Sun, the planet representative of our base ego and superego. Rosemary embodies this holy connection, the mind of the ego to the superego, the higher mind. This card signifies past feelings and emotions are resurfacing from deep within you. You may find yourself remembering and accessing ancestral memory that resides within your DNA. Rosemary assists us in healing through multidimensional sight, reminding us to use the power of vision to see beyond the constructs of everyday life. Don't disassociate or get consumed by the veil that broadcasts emotional imbalance. Call upon Rosemary as a guiding light to see beyond the veil of confusion and stay committed to the vision that moves you. I'm going to leave it off at that. That was on page 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. Oh my goodness. I just saw the next card. It's got a lion on it. So we're going to move on to that another day. But yeah, 2 plus 1 equals 3. And 3 is like divine partnership. I mean, it's like the Holy Trinity. Okay. So it's working with mind, body, and spirit. And it's like working together for a common purpose, for good, to where when you're working together, it doesn't create imbalance. Okay. So that's what I'm seeing that as. Love you. I'm out for today. Bye.